Genesis chapter 30. Now, we've just seen that Jacob ended up marrying both Leah and Rachel, so he had two wives. Now, that's not what God wanted. It's called polygamy. That's not really what God wanted, but, okay, that's what Jacob did.
What's polygamy?
Polygamy is when a man has more than one wife. And that's not what God wants. He made Adam and Eve. That was his ideal. One man and one woman for life. Well, Rachel couldn't have children, and Leah did have children. And when Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister. Now, envy and jealousy, we know that these are the really big problems. She said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I will die." Jacob was angry with Rachel, and he said, "Am I in God's place, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? So, give me children, or else I will die." Well, it wasn't Jacob's fault that she couldn't have children. This is the trouble. People start to blame other people for what isn't really their fault. He said, "Behold, my maid, my servant girl, Bilhah, go into her, that she may bear on my knees, and I also may obtain children by her." Well, he should have remembered the whole problem there was with his grandfather, Abraham. Because Sarah also couldn't have children, and so she also suggested to Abraham, "Why don't you have a baby by my servant girl Hagar?" And he did, and that made all sorts of problems when Hagar had Ishmael, and again there was jealousy and there was envy. And why have we got all these stories in the Bible, all this history? Well, it's so that we might learn, but people often don't learn anything from history. And so Jacob didn't, unfortunately, learn from the mistakes made by his grandfather and his grandmother, Abraham and Sarah. So, she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, as wife, and Jacob went into her, and Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel said, "God has judged me and has also heard my voice, and has given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have won." She named him Naphtali. Well, all these names and all what she says she's done. "Oh, I fought with my sister and I won because I got my servant girl to have a baby by my husband." I mean, this is all very poor reasoning. It's not really true. It's just how people like to see life, even though it's not true. When Leah saw that she'd finished having children, she took Zilpah, her handmaid, and gave her to Jacob as wife. Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bare Jacob a son, and Leah said, "How fortunate!" She named him Gad. Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bore Jacob a second son. Leah said, "Happy am I, for the daughters will call me happy." She named him Asher. Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." She said to her, "Is it a small matter that you've taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" Rachel said, "Therefore he will sleep with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." Jacob came from the field in the field, and Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I've surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." Poor Jacob, he'd been out working hard in the field, and he comes home to all this domestic argument and strife. Poor guy. God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my hire, because I gave my handmaid to my husband." She named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore a sixth son to Jacob. Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good dowry. Now my husband will live with me, because I've borne him 6 sons. She named him Zebulun. Afterwards she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived, bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." She named him Joseph, saying, "May Yahweh add another son to me." It happened when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom you let me go, for you know my service with which I've served you." Laban said to him, If I have found favour in your eyes, stay here, for I have divined that Yahweh has blessed me for your sake. He said, Appoint me your wages, and I will give it. He said to him, You know how I have served you, and how your animals have fared with me. You just had little when I came, and it's increased to a multitude. Yahweh has blessed you wherever I turned. So often that's how it works out, that God will bless other people for our sakes, even if they're not particularly strong believers, as Laban clearly wasn't. But he got blessing because he was associated with Jacob. But Jacob says, How then can I provide for my own family as well? Laban said, Well, what shall I give you? Jacob said, You should not give me anything if you will do this one thing for me. And if you do, I will again feed your flock and keep it. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted one, and every black sheep, and the spotted and the speckled among the goats. This will be my wages. So my righteousness will answer for me hereafter, when you come concerning my hire that is before you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the sheep, that is found with me, can be counted stolen by me. Laban said, Behold, let it be according to your word. That day he removed the male goats that were streaked and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white in it, and all the black ones among the sheep, and gave them into the hands of his sons. He put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob took rods of fresh poplar, almond, plane tree, and peeled white streaks in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. He set the rods which he had peeled opposite the flocks in the gutters in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink. They conceived when they came to drink, and the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks produced streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the streaked, and all the black in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks apart. He didn't put them into Laban's flock. It happened, whenever the stronger of the flock conceived, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flock were feeble, he didn't put them in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger were Jacob's. The man increased exceedingly, and had large flocks, female servants and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Now, all that we've just read is all just their sort of superstitious idea, their pagan ideas, really, that they had at the time. There's no real truth in any of those things at all. The same probably with this thing about the mandrakes that we read earlier in the chapter. So, Jacob is far too close to all the pagan ideas which there were at the time. These ideas that were not of the true God, that were just based on tradition and just myth, really, that they believed. But the amazing thing is that although he believed the wrong things, really, and wasn't trusting in God, God blessed him. And God worked through all that wrong understanding in order to give him a huge blessing of lots of animals and lots of children. Although that is not really what he does. So we could say that the whole story of Jacob is of grace, of God blessing him when he did not deserve it, and when he tried by his own strength and believing in all these myths and so on to bring these things about, when that wasn't really the case. Those things weren't true, but God was patient with him and worked through it. And so that's how we have to be with each other. Patient and working with people where they are and how they are.